What's up? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Garage. Tonight, we've got an extra special guest. It's Blizzy. You know him. You love him. He's here. We're drafting some PGA best ball, underdog, and we just jumped into an underdog open. Hey, there's a special promotion. If you go to your promos and you activate it, you draft 2 underdog opens tonight. You get a free puppy draft. Why not? Why not? Why not have a sweat for the weekend? So Blizzy and I, we're going to be talking everything for the U.S. Open. We're going to be previewing it from a fantasy perspective. We'll be drafting a bunch of underdog open teams tonight, getting into the data, the sims, the projections, all the good stuff. We're going to talk about Blizzy's favorite picks, which golfers he's going to be betting on this week and believes in. We've been looking at some of my Albatross teams, some scramble teams. We'll get into all that and more. If you're new to the channel, or if you're watching this later, make sure you're subscribed. I've got a goal to hit 2,000 subs, and we just hit 1,000, so we got a long way to go. But come get in the chat, say what up, and make sure you check out Blizzy's content as well. His channel is in the description. You can find him there. Without further ado, Blizzy, how we doing, brother?
I'm good, man. You said welcome to the Fantasy Football Garage, but I feel like tonight we're in the Fantasy Golf Mansion. You kind of let the viewers know, you let the people know that this is a jam-packed edition we have for them tonight. So I'm thrilled.
Yeah, man. And it's the first stream in my new house. I just moved last week. I took a little time off from streaming to get all settled. I got the Wi-Fi set up. I don't have anything on the walls yet, but I'm getting this room painted in the next week, and I'll be hanging some stuff sooner than later. And the golf simulator, we'll see. It's a work in progress. We'll see how that comes, but I'm planning that hopefully before the end of the summer. Just got to figure out where to put it at this point. I was originally going to put it in the garage. It's too damn hot in the garage, so I'm working on a backup spot. But all right, we have this pick in the first round. We're pick number 5 overall. Blizzy, who do you think's going to win the U.S. Open?
Dude, it's got the pick here has to be Fitzpatrick for me. I feel like I'm putting the some of the stuff that I want to talk about later out here early, but I'm all in on Fitz this week. Fitz is that guy. He plays well in the wind, and I think he's a snipe there at pick 5.
Totally. Yeah, and he's having a season too. With our second pick, are there any do you want to scroll down? Do you like what you see here? We've got
I'd be between the top 2 guys, honestly. Those would be
and Oberg.
Those would be who I'd be between. Just kind of what's your lean?
I'm a little bit of a lean to Siwoo. I know Oberg has the high ADP, but he's got the best PR team on the PGA Tour. Yes. Everyone loves him for fantasy. Siwoo has really in this field. I think he has, from what I was seeing, he's got some of the best around the green play for strokes gained, and I think that's going to come in clutch with the windy conditions we're expecting, with the crowned greens. They're really hard to hit, so if you can work some magic around the greens, which I think Siwoo Kim has got in his bag, and he's been having a pretty nice season at that. So I like him as a second round pick. Oberg is great, but he's a little bit overdrafted for my liking in most formats.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. The greatest PR team going right now. He's a good golfer. I don't know that he's reached the kind of expectations that people set out for him out of Texas Tech. Right. And that's not to say he can't get there, but we're treating the guy like he is young Rory, and he's just like, anybody else right now. He has not reached peak superstardom, his ceiling or anything, and he gets a lot more credit in the media and in the general public than he probably deserves to this point.
For sure. Blizzy, you've been putting out some content yourself this week. Tell the people what you got going on over at your channel and your latest video that you put out.
Yeah, I've just been keeping up with Rick and the So You Think You Can Tell odds board. So that's the latest video that I have out, 5.0, actually edition 6, but we called one a bonus edition while we were just trying to, kind of wait and see what happened with that past episode. But yeah, check me out, Ballin With Blizzy. Nice of you to put my channel in the description. Definitely appreciate that. And yeah, we're doing golf previews every week, and this is kind of a special treat because we're going to do the preview and the drafts all in one. We're going to get 2 perspectives is better than one. You've got a lot of data. I've got a lot of data. And so hopefully we're making the people some money this week.
Hell yeah. Love to hear it. Yeah, I've been really enjoying the content you're putting out on your channel as well. Make sure you guys are subscribed over there. Ballin With Blizzy. Check it out. Go watch his latest video. And more to come. It's our first official PGA fantasy collab. Oh, yeah. But I think the first of many because I feel like you and I have a lot of similar approaches to how we, are thinking about fantasy golf, but maybe our takes diverge a little bit. So we'll get more into that later tonight. Our first two picks, we went Matt Fitzpatrick and Siwoo Kim. Matt Fitzpatrick, he's won twice on the tour this year. I think it was the Valspar was the first win, and then the RBC Heritage was the second win, wasn't it, for Fitzpatrick?
Yeah. He also won, I believe, in December over in Europe. I would be over Goddard here.
Love it. Yeah, let's go Goddard.
The thing I like about Goddard this week, I think obviously the odds board really respect him. He's got 2 wins on the young season. The thing I like most, not being talked about, the guy is from Jersey, started his collegiate career at Rutgers, grew up in this area. I'm sure not unfamiliar to these grounds. And so I'm really high on Chris Goddard this week.
Yeah, I love Goddard. Big fan of his game. And he's a 2-time winner on the tour this year. And then he also won last year at the Scottish Genesis Open. And that was the guy is just racking up wins. And I feel like he's the next emerging superstar. You mentioned the third win. I almost forgot because Fitzpatrick won with his brother. God, what was that event called? It's the Zurich Classic. Yeah, right after the RBC. So back-to-back wins, which is pretty funny. Okay, how do you feel about Hovland this week? Are you interested? Are you out? Do you prefer someone else?
I would maybe try to talk you into Hatton, but I like Hovland a lot. It'd be between Hovland and Hatton for me. If you lean Hovland, let's go Hovland because his upside really is nuclear when his irons are hot.
Yeah, I'd like to see Hovland get a major victory. I think between him and Goddard as guys who can ascend and get that next tier of kind of that career milestone, I think Goddard's doing it pretty quickly. Hovland's been a guy that for the last few years we were confident could do it. Siwoo Kim has been he's been on the tour for forever, it seems, and already with with Siwoo Kim having won the Players, was it back in 2017? I think it was a long time ago at least. He's that caliber of golfer, so I think we've got a mix of a previous major championship champion with Fitzpatrick, and then some guys who could get their first, but have won in some of the tougher events already, which is I think a good mix.
Yeah, we just kind of looking at my model, we have 3 of the top 14 right now, and so I like that. I mean, because everybody's kind of drafting a little bit differently in these. You and I seem like we're both high on Siwoo Kim. He rates out really well. The odds board really respect him this week, probably more respect than the average person would believe in a field like this, in a track that is going to be playing as tough as Shinnecock will be this week. So I'm happy with our start, even if it doesn't look like the most star power on paper.
Right. And we're drafting from the right side of the board. One thing I've noticed, and I did a draft earlier today, the right side of the board kind of has more of the guys who are playing hot this season, the guys who are projecting well, but maybe not as proven as far as star-studded. It's like the left side of the board, and of course, because you get like the Schefflers, the Rahms, the Rory side, the left side of the board seems to be a little bit more of those guys with, I would say, stronger major tournament histories and stuff. And so that's one thing I've noticed. I don't know if the ADP doesn't matter so much in these formats when you're only drafting 36 players. And what is the field? Is it 80 players this week, or is it? I think it's more than that.
I think it's 156.
156. Yeah, I'm way off. I was thinking 80. Maybe I'm thinking of after the cut, but yeah, it's a huge field. I mean, you can scroll down forever and never get to the bottom. There's so many guys that we're not going to be drafting. Who do we like here?
This is tough for me. I might go Bobby Mack here just because of the build that we have, where we're kind of playing to, I think, a lineup where if the guys that we already have on the team succeed, I think that means stylistically that McIntyre should succeed. Not my favorite guy here, but the build we have, I think he sets up really well for.
Yeah, Bobby Mack's, he's had an okay season, not the most exciting, but I think he's obviously a very talented young golfer. Doesn't hurt to mix him in. Do you have any faith in Sudarshan, or do you want to go somewhere else? I think Mav is a nice pick.
I would say yes. I like Maverick and Neiman both more than Yellow Mirage, but I like Maverick. He's been very steady this season.
That, and I feel like he's another guy that I don't know. If you asked me, does Mav ever win a major? I'd probably bet on the no, but it
Yeah.
doesn't mean he can't have a top 10 finish.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we can say that pretty much, every other year, and then it happens. I mean, you just look no further than last year with JJ Spawn. Certainly, nobody
Exactly.
thought he was going to win the U.S. Open, and those conditions were so tough. I believe it was Burns and like Adam Scott who were in that final group on Sunday, and they just both
Yeah.
imploded. And here comes steady JJ Spawn. Hatton made a run for a while, and then he made a mistake in the bunker. I think it was on 17. And then JJ Spawn, of
Right.
course, with the all-time legendary like 60-foot putt when he needed a 2-putt.
Iconic putt.
I mean,
I also like Hatton. I think he is a little bit underrated right now. I think he's potentially should be getting drafted. I mean, it's a star-studded field, but I would take Hatton above Koepka with the uncertainty on Koepka and his injury to his hand. I think obviously Koepka was the winner last time they played at Shinnecock Hills in 2018, but this is a different era. There's a different field of golfers they're going up against. Are you drafting, or are you like taking any Koepka this week? Or are you a little bit afraid of the injury and his recent form?
Well, his recent form had been good, but I'm definitely spooked with the hand injury, because you think about a course that can absolutely punish your body when you're out of position. And if you're hitting out of the thick rough or the fescue this week, I don't know that you want to be less than full health hacking out of that stuff. So I'm a little bit concerned about Koepka, but it's not to say that obviously he can't tough through it and put on a performance. But I really like what that 2-hole did there. You were shouting out Hatton. I really like the type of build they have with Rory, Henley, Hatton, Reed. DeChambeau has the upside, not playing very well and just been really, really mediocre to below average with the wedges. And you're going to need to be on top of that this week. But I really like what the guy in the 2-hole did here.
The 2-hole is by far my favorite team in this draft. I'm looking around. I like the team in the 3-hole. I like the team in the 6. Anytime you have Scotty, it's going to be good. So I don't mind the Scotty team. It's a bit of a scroll the F down for Max McGreevy. I feel like there's stronger picks you could make, but in a tournament where you're trying to win in a field of 5,000 people. No, sorry, it's 11,000 this week. So they increased the field size a little bit from what it had been the past couple of weeks, which makes sense. It's a major. It's the U.S. Open. They're going to get more entrants in. I wonder if it fills. I think it could have a tiny bit of overlay, but 11,000 is, for a large field tournament. I can understand scrolling down for McGreevy, but I don't think he's even my top. He's probably not even in my top 10 choices for scroll down guys. I mean, look who's getting undrafted. Jacob Bridgman. He's already won on the tour this year. Gary Woodland's won on the tour. Gerard was coming to the season hot. Aaron Rye goes undrafted, right? Wrightson has already won this year on the tour.
Yep.
And then Smalley's been kind of playing well. You have guys who have won majors like Harmon going undrafted. Tom Kim is the forgotten, prodigy. It seems like Poston is undrafted. There's just so many guys. Keegan.
Yeah.
And so to take McGreevy over, I think a lot of these guys, even Jason Day or Corey Connors, to me, I would much rather draft any of these guys, I think, over McGreevy. Maybe even Brennan, if you're really going for a long shot, which maybe then you're not even saying he wins. You're just saying he's like a surprise top 15 or top 10 with enough birdies to score highly, and obviously he'd be mixing in some bogeys. Because we'll get to this too, but I wanted to get your guess on what you think the winning score is to par for this one. But let's finish that first thought. How do you feel about McGreevy as a scroll down? Do you think it's too much risk, or do you think it's okay, or do you prefer some of these other names?
No, I think you nailed it. I think it's ridiculous, and that's not to say that he, can't finish top 15. I'm sure, a miracle's in the bag for anybody, but I agree with your assessment that he wouldn't be one of my top 10 scrolls of the guys who went undrafted. And just looking at those guys, I mean, Aaron Rye, Corey Connors, Jacob Bridgman, it makes me wish, especially in a contest like this, that this was just like a one-off, week where they would do 8-man rosters. in all 8 counts
Me
because
too.
there's enough talent here, and the field is so big, especially with the sectional qualifiers and regional qualifying for the U.S. Open and stuff, where they just let so many guys in. And then again, we're not going to be drafting those guys, but just to have 36 players get drafted, and there's probably 75 guys deep who can finish top 10 if they bring their A game, certainly speaks to the depth. I mean, Jason Day, Corey Connors, Keegan Bradley, Tom Kim, like you mentioned, Brian Harmon is a major champion. Aaron Rye is the defending major champion. So yeah, just there's so much talent in here. I don't know that scrolling down for Max McGreevy was necessarily worth it.
I totally agree with your sentiment that could they just for 1 week or for the majors bump this up, the roster size. I'd be down with 10 spots because they were drafting 60 players. Like 10 to me would be the ideal size. It would add so much more complexity to it where you can scroll down for some guys. Because on a 10-team roster, I think McGreevy could be interesting as a long shot, but it's just so short. 6 players. You really have to have the nuts. You really have to have the winner, and you really have to have 3 or 4 guys who are in the top 10, who not only are in the top 10 finish or top 12, but they have a higher concentration of birdies. Even if they have a higher concentration of bogeys, in this scoring format, it rewards guys who can hit birdies, who can score, eagles, guys who can have consecutive birdies is another way to stack up some sneaky points. And so, I mean, once you get out of finishing top 10, there's not that many points for finishing position. And so that's really the way to get it done. I don't think you have to differentiate your team so much in 11,000. You really just have to get the right combination. But there is some idea to scroll down because of the large field size. I just think that there's so much talent in this field that I would at least go with a guy like even a Chris Kirk, just like a veteran on the tour who's been there, done that, played a ton of majors. And some of these guys like Jason Day and actually Kirk particularly, they play a little bit sharper in the majors. I know Kirk hasn't won one. Day's got a victory, but some of the guys play better in majors and some of the guys play worse in majors. And if you're going to be taking a long shot, at least go for a guy that steps up, like, Ricky Fowler steps up in the majors. He goes undrafted. He'd be a name that I'd be interested in as kind of a, deeper pick.
Yeah, I assume Harris English goes undrafted. I mean, that guy every single time. Oh, he did get drafted.
He did get drafted. Yeah. I was like,
every single time it's like a tough major or just an event where it seems like, 5, 6 under or worse is like in contention. I feel like that guy is always on the first page of the leaderboard. It's incredible. And he's just not the most consistent when you talk about like a birdie fest or a course that needs minus 20 or minus 25 to win. But you get this guy in like crazy conditions. He's just so steady and can limit his mistakes. And I really think it's an important point. You brought up the scoring for this format. I mean, you think about a guy that plays steady that's going to be good for like outrights and keeping you in contention, like if you're in one and done. But this format doesn't reward, like if Matt Fitzpatrick goes out and just gets us 18 pars, that's really good in the sense of like keeping him in contention, how he's going to play, how that's going to look, especially with some of the wind that's projected. But I mean, with the scoring that you pulled up a second ago, I mean, if a guy has 5 birdies and 5 doubles, that's actually better than, that would put them +5, but that is better than an 18 par round of even for like a Matt Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. On that note, before we jump into some of the data and look at some of your favorite picks for the week, I'm putting you on the spot. Do you have a score prediction for score to par that wins at Shinnecock Hills this weekend?
Yeah, I think it's going to be even. I wouldn't be surprised if it's +1, +2, but I think somebody claws their way to even after 72 holes. I'm sure some of the people watching have seen the stat that's been floated, but I mean, this course has been played by hundreds and hundreds of players, and the winning score has been 3 golfers have posted under par in the history. So to go out and say that of all the times it's been played, 3 people have cracked par and that suddenly we're going to get a -2 or -4, I think would be a little bit naive of us. So I think somebody finishes the weekend and wins and hoists the trophy at even, but I will not be surprised if it's, over par, because Shinnecock just plays that tough and the rough is that penal.
I 100% agree. I think I'm just, for the sake of differing my pick, because even is essentially what I think it's going to be based on what I've seen from the weather, the potential for rain, the wind on Thursday, especially. I think this thing could be one. I'll just go. I'm gonna go a little bit of a I'll go 2 over. I think it'd be crazy, but because I don't think. I mean, look at the last time we saw someone win anything above 1 over is all the way back in 2007, 2006 at Oakmont and at Winged Foot.
Yeah,
+5 wins you there. So that's pretty crazy. Last year at Oakmont, Spawn won at 1 under. It's been consistently under par for almost a decade. But last time we played Shinnecock Hills, when Koepka won, it was 1 over. So I think, this is and part of, for either for weekly fantasy, it doesn't really matter what the finishing score is to par. For our Albatross, which is majors only best ball, it doesn't really matter because you either advance or you don't this week in your pot of 5 players, 5 drafters. But in our scramble drafts, this is the week 2 of 6 for the final leg. And so this is not going to be a week where you pad your stats and score a lot. This is going to be a week where you potentially just kind of stay level with the field. It's nice to have a lot of golfers in the U.S. Open. I think most teams, from what I saw, had about out of their 12 drafted players. When I was reviewing, at least for my big scramble, but I think it's pretty similar in the scramble as well. Most teams had anywhere from about 10 on average. 9 was kind of like the lower end, and some teams had 11. Very few had 12 active golfers in their scramble drafts that are all in the U.S. Open. But I think if you've got 10, you're feeling good enough. And I don't think it's going to be a low-scoring event. So you're not going to get a ton of points. You're going to get way more points, in a couple of weeks when we're playing what's next up on the schedule. After the U.S. Open, we've got like the John Deere, right? That's going to be a birdie fest. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, last question I have, Blizzy, on this draft. When you look, if you focus in on like the first, and we kind of talked to it, but if you focus in on like the first 4 rounds, maybe the kind of the beginning of the draft, which player here do you think is the most underpriced and should be a target for us going forward?
First 4 rounds. I mean, I would say in this draft specifically, I don't think Hatton should be going outside like the top 18. He would be my pick from this. These guys that are on the screen, these 24 guys. I mean, Hatton is just such a value. Obviously, we considered him there at our kind of 3-4 turn. And so, I mean, again, just kind of sets up to why I like the team in the 2-hole. And I will just say, I mean, this is going to sound absolutely crazy. I've seen it happen like 2 times in my DFS history, and I don't know, obviously, that Underdog and DraftKings don't score golf the exact same way, but I will say just a word to the wise that I have seen happen. We all love to sweat the cut, make sure our guys get through. People are going to be doing that in their Albatross drafts, their scramble drafts, and that's important. I've seen 2 times that I can recall in majors. I believe it's been at U.S. Opens and the Open Championships, where a guy who missed the cut finished with more points than guys who made the cut, because there are going to be some guys who make the cut on the number, right? Let's say that the cut this week is, let's say it's +7. Say the cut this week is +7. And let's say you have a guy that misses the cut at +8, right? He's done scoring. The carnage is over. He's got his +8 locked in, whatever that entailed between bogeys, pars, whatever. There's going to be a guy who sneaks in that cut on the line at +7 and then absolutely implodes over the weekend and finishes +22, +24, +26, and is going to score you less points than a guy who missed the cut. Sounds crazy,
Oof.
sounds outrageous, but I've seen it happen.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want, right? Making the cut is a challenge in itself for your DFS lineups, for your weekly underdog drafts. Having a guy miss, if you end up with 5 out of these 6 golfers that make the cut, you probably can't win. You almost certainly can't win, and you might not even be able to finish very highly to cash or to make money. But yeah, that's interesting. All right. We're going to switch over we're going to be drafting more Underdog Opens, but first we're going to switch it over. Blizzy, if you're ready, I'm ready to share your screen to the stage.
Yeah, go ahead.
We'll jump into some of your takes, some of your data. Guys, if you're watching this, make sure you smash the like button. Come draft with us. I'm going to let you know when we're getting back into another Underdog Open. Also, Underdog has a promotion right now. If you go to your promotions tab in the Underdog app, you click on activate for drafting 2 Underdog Opens and getting 1 free puppy. Activate it now. Come draft the next 2 Underdog Opens with us on stream, or draft next to us. While we're streaming a draft, you could be jumping into a separate one, even if it fills, and get that free puppy. And make sure you're subscribed to Blizzy's channel. Links in description. Go check out his content as well. All right, Blizzy, what do we got here?
Yeah, so I usually do my model live, but in the interest of time and being efficient so we can get some more drafts in, I just kind of plugged in what I think is going to be important this week. So a number of factors that I don't usually consider and build into all my models, but because of kind of the uniqueness of this course and this event, obviously always weight strokes gained total for me. So that's kind of the first thing in. I've got 10% on that. I've got 5% on weighted strokes gained tee to green, because I think just keeping your ball in play is always so important, but especially here when the greens are going to be tricky. They're going to be fast, probably this weekend, slower on Thursday and Friday potentially. With it being a par 70 and just kind of having to just, scrape by and scrap through these par 4s. I've got the strokes gained par 4s weighted. Bogey avoidance is going to be absolutely critical this week. Driving distance, not something I generally factor in, but I wanted to see driving distance alongside categories like fairways gained. And so I put this in just at 5%. I wanted to see 5% on just the odds board to get the implied win percentage approach over the last 36. Always important. And then strokes gained hard courses, not something I generally put in. Strokes gained long courses, not something I put in. But again, if this is going to play long and hard, I wanted to kind of filter through some of the noise regarding like who plays well, at a long course, but it's not hard, or who plays, kind of good at signature events, but it's not going to be the test that this is this week. And then fairways gained, opportunities gained, greens gained, which is going to be just absolutely critical this week, even more so than opportunities gained. And so it kind of rated out where there's a couple surprising names, but most of the guys at the top are the names that you would expect. You can see their score, obviously. Scheffler at the top, a grade of 95, which is just absurd. Sometimes, when I do these models, even in signature events, he rates out at number 1, but it might be an 86 or an 88. So to see, like, as the course gets tougher, as I've accounted for more factors, a grade of 95 across this many different factors is pretty unusual. Normally, the more factors there are, it goes down, because guys tend to be dragged down by 1 or 2 skills. And so this is just a testament to how good this guy is, especially when we talk about long, hard, difficult courses. Matt Fitzpatrick rates out number 2. He's number 6 on the odds board, as I said, so that's good. Rory, usual suspect. Tommy, usual suspect. Colin Morikawa, usual suspect. JJ Spawn rates out really well, and he's all the way down at 23rd on the odds board. Henley, I mentioned I liked. He always tends to play well here because he keeps the ball in play. Siwoo Kim, good. Kurt Kitayama, a guy that has really had my attention this week. A guy that doesn't seem to play his best, kind of in that Harris English mold, where he doesn't necessarily play his best when it's just a birdie fest and a scoring fest, but you get him on a tough track. We remember he, has historically played well at Bay Hill, which is one of the regular, PGA Tour stops that's typically one of the hardest. Siwoo Kim up here, Victor Hovland up here. And so some surprising names. I said Aaron Rai should definitely be drafted. You pointed out Corey Connors. I mentioned Harris English. Joaquin Neiman was going undrafted in our draft. And so what's kind of your take on the guys that surprise you here and the guys that maybe are higher or lower than you would have anticipated?
Yeah, no, this is awesome. I like this model. I like how you were emphasizing plays well on hard courses, things like signature events, because I think that is a good sample to draw from for the majors, where the sample for, you know, even the current active PGA Tour players, their sample size for the majority of them in majors is extremely small. It's the
Yes.
rare case you have a guy like Rory who's been playing in every major for the last 15 years plus 20 years or so, right? So that's like the exception. Most of these guys don't have a lot of course history at these major events. They don't have a lot of tournament history. And so drawing on the signature events, I think, is a great proxy. And one thing that I've also done and like to look at going into these majors, so I think that's really sharp. What two things stand out to me? The first one is a player that I think is lower than I would expect, and that's John Rahm. I think John Rahm being low is kind of surprising to me. So I'm interested to dig deeper into that and just kind of see potentially what is dragging him down in his scoring metrics. And then I'll give you who I think is I'm surprised at how high they are. But let's look into John Rahm. Like, what can you tell me about John Rahm this week?
The interesting thing, and obviously you know this, but for the viewers who may not know this data gets to be really hard when you're factoring in live guys, because how it translates for hard courses, long courses, the strokes gain data is not 1-to-1. So he still rates out in the top 10. And if you just look through, I mean, he's as good as anybody. It's just the number. I mean, it says it's 100 rounds being measured, but again, the strokes gain data is, again, not apples to apples, but you look through here,
right?
He still rates out really well. There's nothing that is dragging him down. 6th in strokes gained total, 10th tee to green. I guess 34th in par 4 scoring is not the best in the world, but it's not the worst. I mean, you look at a guy like Scheffler, what he gains on par 4s is just kind of absurd. And then Rory just a shade 300ths of a strokes gained in front of him. But yeah, John Rahm, nothing that sticks out to me that's bad. Obviously, we've seen when he starts missing right, which he does a lot, this is holding him back a little bit just in terms of fairways gained. And one thing that people should know, John Rahm is so good, obviously one of the strongest guys in the world too. Most courses, and even this course, he'll be able to hack the ball out of. But the thing is once you're out of position, hacking the ball out of this stuff is not getting it to the green. You hack out of stuff at just kind of medium or short rough, these guys can still find their way to the green. One thing that I'll caution you about when you see guys like this, and especially a Rory, is that means you're going to need them to get up and down for par from the fairway, because once they're in that deep stuff, they're not advancing the ball, especially this week, to the green. And so, it's like, how much do you trust these guys from 95 yards, 105 yards, 80 yards to be able to get up and down? Because that is when pressure mounts, especially at a course where it's a par 70. And so I think, just be kind of cautious about this number right here, because it's not, again, this doesn't stop Rory on regular PGA stops to be 119th in fairways gained. But this week, as you know, with the rough and the fescue going to be as penal as anywhere these guys have ever played, Rory's not hacking out and still, landing his ball on the green like he is at, an RBC or a Farmers Insurance Open or, stuff like that, because they've grown the rough out intentionally. The fescue is penal. And you've heard the players say this week, the fairways are actually a little bit more generous here than they were in 2018 when this track hosted the event. But the thing that tells me is that if they're being more generous with the fairway and they still want the scores to be, right around even, they're not being more generous with the rough, right? If they're saying, hey, we're making your landing areas a little bit more generous, the rough is going to be just as penal, if not more penal, because they're saying, hey, lay up if you have to, play positional golf, play strategic golf. And so to me, in my head, when I hear that the fairways are more generous, that tells me the rough is going to be more penal, and it's already bad enough at a course like this as is.
I don't know if you saw some of the early coverage I was looking at. I think it was just a photo, but it was showing some of the bunkers along the fairways had almost zero edge. Like they were completely mowed down so that you can roll right into these bunkers. There was no like rough to kind of, the ball get perched up in and stop before it rolls into the bunker. So I think that, there is a lot about the recovery shots and scrambling that also could be useful here, but bogey avoidance. And so when I saw, one of the things I was pointing out for John Rahm was actually his bogey avoidance is one of the best, which like we that should be intuitive to think about John Rahm, one of the best players in the world. So that's interesting. I think you're right. And something I almost overlooked, but when you mentioned it, yeah, he plays on the Live Tour. It's the data is different. It's a little bit of a different sample. So maybe we can asterisk John Rahm a little bit in here and maybe bump him up in our own personal rankings relative to the model output. I think is an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
One of the other takes there?
I didn't even see him on this list, but one of the guys I was thinking about this morning, coincidentally, just on my drive into work, was Hideki Matsuyama. And the reason I was thinking about him is because he's a notoriously horrendous driver of the golf ball. He cannot keep the ball straight. But when he has hot streaks with his irons, the dude is magical. And then he's one of the best players of the generation around the green. And so I was thinking that is good in terms of avoiding bogeys. But I just wonder, and maybe we can find him here, I wonder just how bad it is because he doesn't keep the ball in play. And so, like, even if you're, the greatest magician in the world, here he is here at 39th, even if you're the greatest magician in the world, how penal is it that you put yourself consistently in bad positions? I mean, so the distance has fallen off from his heyday. He's not even, one of the top 50, 75 drivers on tour in terms of distance. This is what I'm referring to, which I knew in my head before I even looked, that he's just a bad driver of the golf ball. Greens gained this year has not gone well, 81st. And so this is kind of the recipe I'm talking about. He's not hitting fairways. He's not hitting greens. He's still a magician around the greens, but I don't know that this is the place you pull the trigger on a guy who can't seem to hit the ball where he wants to hit it.
Yeah, I think Hideki is, man, he's so good with his irons, and when he's locked in, he's a challenger, right?
Yep.
But I don't know. It seems like he is a name that we know and love that maybe is getting weighted too much into like what the actual expected outcome could be for him. Because I'm not really buying Hideki this week. No. I feel like he's a name that's too popular for, if you're doing DFS, I would assume it's probably he's a little bit overdrafted or overselected.
Yeah, and I just looked right there. He was 25th in the implied win percentage and down at 39th in the model. And then just, a guy that maybe if we were catching value, maybe if he was somehow slipped to like 50th in the betting market and you were going to catch a number and just kind of rely on him going nuclear with his irons, which we've seen in a number of his wins, both in Phoenix and then at I want to say Riviera 2 years ago. And so, he has those streaks, but probably not a guy I'm going to. And again, just to circle back to your point about these guys who went undrafted in that first draft, I mean, nobody hits more fairways than like the Ryes and the Connors and the Henleys. Rye, here you go. Second on tour in fairways gained. He's not long at all, 132nd, but the guy just rips fairways. Corey Connors 10th. And so, that's the kind of thing I want to be thinking about is these guys are not going to find themselves in trouble too often. I assume Henley is also up in the top of that stat. Yeah, third. Just the guys that we know off the top of our head that just hit fairways and keep the ball in play. And
Henley is so good at that.
Trouble.
For sure. It makes a ton of sense. Interesting. Yeah, really interesting. Hartman was saying, sign of a good model. What do you call a model that doesn't have Scotty Scheffler as the top pick?
It's probably a piss poor model, but
you call it wrong. You call it wrong. It's he's either not in the field or it's completely wrong, right? It's like Scotty is like, there's almost no way you can construct a model without Scotty up there. I'd have to think long and hard about how to make that happen. But it's just funny. Yeah, I think Very true. GM, what's up, Purple Yosh? Good to see you, brother. Thanks for being here. Also, shout out to my man Hartman. Good to see you, my man. Jeff T, of course, in the chat. Money ain't a thing. He's got a good scroll down. He's going to jump into our next draft and blow our minds with what he's got. I already know the answer. He's not in the field, but it's going to be Peter Malnati is what he's going for there.
Yellow golf ball and a bucket hat?
Yeah, no, it's just, that's his favorite golfer by far. Sweating my last remaining Albatross squad. Yeah. So I've got 3 Albatross left. I've got 1 big scramble. We might take a look at them later after we do some more drafts. Thanks for being here, everyone. Make sure you smash the like. We're jumping right back into another Underdog Open real soon. I'm about to jump into one. I'll cue it up. I'll let you know when we're doing it. We're going to spend a couple more minutes here talking through the custom model that Blizzy's put together. So I think if you could scroll to kind of the range of about 15 to 25.
Yeah.
There's 2 names. So Aaron Rye finishing in 24. I'm a little surprised he's that low. So I was interested to dig into maybe why. And then another name that I was surprised it was so high was Alex Fitzpatrick coming in at 21. And so I want to do a little bit of investigation on those 2 golfers. You know, why is Fitzpatrick showing up so high and why is Rye showing up a little lower than I would expect? But at the same time, if he wouldn't have won the PGA, I might not be saying that. It's just kind of, I'm thinking, it's,
yeah. And I was surprised that Harris English was a little bit lower.
Sure. I love English.
My initial thought on Fitzpatrick is that, well, one, he's got only 56 measured rounds. And then, I only have 15, I think 10%, 5% each on long and hard. So the other 90%, I mean, he's getting credit for the Zurich rounds, which is inflating his number with his brother because those are part of his 56 rounds of strokes gain data. And then he made a push the week after that. I think it was the Truist. He made a push there and finished, I want to say like 4th or something. And so, again, when you only have 56 measured rounds, that helps a lot. The other guy you mentioned was Rye. Obviously, driving distance holds him back. Bogey avoidance seems to not be something that he's played well in, but I would be interested to see what he has in terms of like the wow, okay, I guess those were just his 2 worst categories, and they're just dragging him down. I was almost expecting to see like on the long courses, because he's a shorter hitter, does he not play well? But he's 54th, but he's still gaining almost a half stroke per round, which is fine enough on a long course. And then the hard courses, he's at that's part of the reason he's losing big time on hard courses. And then Harris English, I wanted to kind of look into because he seems to be like the long hard course like master. The data doesn't necessarily support that. Maybe that's more narrative based and anecdotal based.
Interesting.
This 47th on long courses, but you can see here gaining, I mean, almost 1.7 strokes per round on hard courses, which is 9th in the field. So that kind of tracks with some of my feelings about him. Straka is very interesting. I heard Mayo and Feinberg talking about him and just how he has a number that they were liking. I think he was like maybe 110 this morning. He might have creeped up 44th in the implied win percentage, but a guy who it wouldn't surprise you at all to see him in contention on the weekend. Although this season, it's been kind of a thing where he's gotten himself into contention a handful of times, and then he has just had some horrendous Sundays of scoring. So not a guy that this year is proving to be kind of a contender on the weekend, but a guy that we've seen win signature events and then win tough tracks like the Honda Classic down there at a PGA National in Florida. Shane Lowry, a guy that maybe surprises me that he's a little bit lower. And just before we jump in another draft, I was curious to get your opinion. I know there's always a lot of talk about like wave stacking and kind of how to deal with the weather. Obviously,
I saw this too. Someone tweeted this. I forget exactly where it came from, but I saw this and I was like, dang.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
so
intense.
there's no like wave that you can take advantage of necessarily on Thursday. I mean, it's going to be gusty basically from 5 in the morning until the guys finish their rounds. But I mean, there seems like there's going to be an advantage one way or another, just in terms of there's always pockets, especially in the majors, where I don't know if you get out here early enough and you make some hay, and then you're able to like get out late on Friday. Again, it doesn't look to me visually like there's going to be an advantage, but just in terms of like, if there's a pocket, do you ever think in terms of that where it's like, hey, these guys rate out well in the model and they all go off within 90 minutes of each other? Does that ever kind of factor into your thinking?
Maybe if an analyst or a if someone in the space, a content creator, suggests it, then I will like listen. It's not something that I necessarily seek out myself,
Yeah.
but I think it is a data point that is interesting and can be useful. It's very detailed to get to that level. Early tea time, Thursday, a late tea time Friday, to come to that kind of conclusion. It does just, I think the effort of finding those nuggets in itself means you're so familiar with the data and what's going on that you're probably just getting further along in your journey of like building a case for who's a good and a bad pick.
Yeah.
I don't even know that it's necessarily the fact that like that ends up, because it's all projection, right? We could come that, hey, actually Friday morning the average score was even par or one under, and in the afternoon for whatever reason it was actually a little bit higher. We've seen those kind of things play out, and so it just comes down to what actually happens. But no, I think it's interesting. I always like to hear those extra insights of level of detail of, hey, actually, these groups of guys, these three golfers are going to be in that, early morning wave on Friday, and then they get the potentially easier setup or on Thursday, and a potentially easier setup on Friday afternoon. So that could come into favor for guys like Siwoo Kim and Sam Burns and Tyrrell Hatton, who are all in an early group on Thursday, is what I'm seeing. Also, Kurt Kitayama and Patrick Reed, Rory, Fleetwood, and Oberg, English, Adam Scott, Nick Taylor. Nick Taylor's notoriously bad in majors. So some guys that stand out to me that are pretty good in majors that don't get a lot of hype, guys like Alex Noren, kind of steps up in the majors and has been around forever. I mean, the guy's been playing on the tour for so long. Patrick Reed was interesting to me. I see him simming out pretty poorly, but I see him doing relatively well in your model, and I see him getting drafted consistently. I think it comes down to what you were describing earlier, where some of the live golfers or past live golfers, guys like Patrick Reed, who just aren't playing a ton, maybe just playing on the DP World Tour, they don't have enough of a sample to be registering meaningfully, and it does him a disservice. So I think that could be playing into why he's simming out so badly, but I still think Patrick Reed is like a killer in these majors and has a pretty good major tournament history to back up that you could make a bet on him this week.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I can stop sharing anytime, but what kind of data have you been looking at, or are you kind of using, or do you like to use to kind of give yourself a baseline for a week?
So in this week in particular, I'm looking at across all majors, their major tournament history, how consistently they can get a top 10 finish or a top 25 finish. Even top 5 finishes, I wait and I look at that, because I know there are certain golfers who do better or worse at different majors, but I also think there's something to weight that just like the level of the difficulty of the field. So as we were kind of talking about this earlier, why I think signature events are a strong proxy for major performance, especially for guys who haven't played in a major. Maybe it's their major debut, or they played in very few majors, like 1 or 2 majors. I think of guys maybe who played in, I think Chris Goddard's played in like 3 or 4 majors, like not that many. So for a guy like him, you just look at how he does in signature events and the fact that he's been winning consistently on tour. Those are things I look at. I look at the recent performance, but the U.S. Open can be surprising. Guys can come out and win this one. I think of all of the majors, the U.S. Open is the most up for grabs But we also see a lot of repeat winners for the U.S. Open for whatever reason. It's a tough course. So I think it might be a little bit of a bunched up scoring. I don't think someone's going to run away with it. I think we're going to be looking down to the last 3 or 4 holes on Sunday late in the afternoon to see who steps forward and can consistently score to par or maybe even go on a little birdie streak and take this thing and run with it. So the last thing I would look at, I think, is just running the sims. I look at Rick Rungood. I look at his tournament predictor. I look to see the simulation results. He does 10,000 sims across the field, and he looks at how often they make the cut, a top 10, 5, or percent chance to win.
Yeah.
Obviously, as soon as we tee off on Thursday, the odds to win start to change dramatically. But one thing I look at is I look at the odds to win every single week. We're 6 months into the season. So I was seeing Scotty Scheffler at 28, 29% odds to win before we ever teed off in 2026.
Yeah.
It's down to 11% right now is what the Sims are saying for Scheffler. I think those are pretty realistic. And I think it's somewhat, if you look at the Vegas odds, those are more of the psychology of betting or the sport or what kind of the behavior of what we're doing as drafters in selection. So like you look at the Vegas odds, you might get plus 550, plus 450 that Scotty wins. That's like 1 in 5 or 1 in 6. That's like really, really aggressive. The Sims are saying he's more like an 11% chance to win, which is essentially 1 out of 10, or 1 out of 9, right? So I think there's the perception, there's the reality. I try to select the best golfers and the best picks, but at another data point that comes to my mind when I look at the Sims is the value you get. So like what are the odds? Like what's the public perception of the odds and what do the Sims say? So you'll have a guy like, for instance, I'm just kind of seeing Justin Thomas pop a little bit where he might actually have a better chance to win this thing than what's implied by the betting odds. Even though he's a pretty big favorite name, and everyone's very aware of Justin Thomas as a golfer.
Yeah.
But then I would scroll down and I would find a guy like, a real scroll down for me would be like someone like Corey Connors, or getting to let me find another name that I like that I would agree with.
Do you need me to remove my screen?
No, it's fine because I think we jump right into their draft. But
yeah,
long short of saying, and I can go on and rant forever. I try to look at a few different metrics, but I think performance and their history in the majors is kind of what I really anchor in on, especially in these tough fields, these tough events. It's the best golfers, who can rise to the top. It's rare when a guy like Spawn, who we don't really expect, comes through. It can happen. We saw Rye come through, but we always thought Rye was a pretty good golfer. I just wouldn't have necessarily thought, if you would have given me the odds, does Rye win a major or not in his career before this year, I probably would have said no.
Oh, yeah.
So it can still happen.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's well said. And I would just say, going back to kind of not just the model, but the model and the wind, I mean, that just makes me like Fitzpatrick and to a lesser degree Hatton even more. I mean, Fitzpatrick is awesome when wind picks up. He has a really good track record, like I mentioned, around Bay Hill, which is one of the hardest regular PGA Tour stops. And he just seems to like, he has that kind of piercing ball flight, and it just doesn't seem to phase him. When other guys are kind of getting flustered, he's just kind of like man on a mission. Like, I do this, I grew up in this, whatever. And to a lesser degree, I think Hatton fits that bill, just without the same kind of cool, calm, collected mentality that we see from Fitzpatrick. Obviously, we know Hatton can get fiery, but same thing from him. I mean, when conditions pick up and get tough, and it's a tough test of golf, he really seems to just rise to the occasion. Again, like we said earlier, was right in the thick of it to beat JJ Spawn and win the U.S. Open last year, and then just kind of made a mess. I think it was on 16 or 17, not getting out of that bunker. And so it's just one of those things, but I like both of those guys. And I think there's a distinct kind of advantage, just that those guys grew up playing a different style of golf that required, different shot shapes and different ball flights into the wind.
I always think back to some of the guys who are from across the pond, some of these links golfers, like they have some interesting courses that they've grown up playing or environments, and sometimes they can perform really strongly, not only at the Open at the end of the season, but in some of these tougher conditions. You think of places like Pebble Beach and some of these other really tough golf courses, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So we jumped into an Underdog Open. We're waiting for one more. We were waiting on 5 when I joined in. Sorry, Jeff T got into the underflow, but jump in right now.
Hop in.
Make sure you activate your promo on Underdog. If you draft 2 Underdog Opens tonight, you get a free puppy. We've got our free puppy now because we've drafted 2 on stream already. I thought our first draft went really well. Let's see what we can get into with this second one here.
Same slot, looks like.
Yeah, in the 5 spot, again, we're going up against Johnny Footballs, who's got the green badge. So you don't see that every day. But or maybe you do if you're drafting out here a ton. I think green is either the highest or the second highest. I think it's either purple is pretty high. I think green's the highest though. I don't know, Blizzy, cool. If you've seen the new badges.
Yeah, pretty cool that they implemented that. And what do we got?
Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. It's like 100,000 drafts or something.
Yeah, we've got a different badge color for everybody in here. We got a red, a yellow, a black, a green, and a brown. Are you a brown?
Yeah, it's called bronze. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, fine. I was a red badge before, which I kind of wore as like a badge of honor, but then now bronze, I think is still a good badge to have. I got my red badge. I think it was. I can't remember. I know I got my black badge from a Poodle 2 back in 2023, where I got a top. I think I finished like 5th in the Poodle 2, and then I went instantly from no badge to black badge. I think that was the rules back then. And then my red badge, I think I got it when we were talking earlier before the stream about like our Albatross. You and I finished 8th and 9th in 2024 in the Albatross.
I was 9th, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I finished 8th. I'm pretty sure I went to red badge as soon as I did that because it put me over. I swear it wasn't always just volume. It used to also be like a monetary value you could hit to get
volume plus 1 win or of some caliber.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked a little bit earlier. Who we like in here? We've got Shoffley, Cam, Young, Fleetwood.
I like Xander. I think we just take him here and we just make a bet on him. And he has one of the best, for not having won a US Open, he has one of the best track records. I mean, people joke about like the yellow squares on their Wikipedia pages for like top 10s or whatever. Man, Xander can fill up a Wikipedia grid with yellow squares.
I'm a big fan of Xander. We saw his breakout 2024. I think there's more to come. I don't know. I'm obviously a slow start in 2025 with the rib injury, and then this year hasn't gotten a win yet. But I wouldn't be surprised to see one, and he could be a guy we need this week. All right, we're back on the clock.
I think we take Cam Young. Yeah. I talked a little bit earlier about Gotterup being a New York guy. We know Cam Young is a New York guy, the son of a golf professional at Sleepy Hollow. The results have not looked good. Let's just be honest. The results have not looked good since his little hot run earlier on in the spring. But I mean, I think just the talent that he has, can be as good as anybody in the world. And we saw it for a little stretch there. He just needs to find that again.
Yeah. So last draft, we started with Matt Fitzpatrick and Siwoo Kim. This time, Fitzpatrick goes at the 3. We get Shoffley to come back to us at 5. We take Cam Young at the 8th overall. This is a strong start, I think, from the right side of the board.
Yeah.
I liked our start last time. We'll see how we can land this one. Reed goes 13 here. I mean, Reed is, for whatever reason, he's just a guy that people are locked into, that he is a 100% drafted player. I could make a case for most of the top 20 or 18 picks should be 100% drafted. I think Reed, I've always liked Reed. He's got the green jacket. I think he's a strong golfer. He's actually from around Spring, Cypress, Texas, where I'm from. But so like, I just think he's a little bit overdrafted for the strength of this field, where I don't know that he has to be going as a top 15 pick every time. I don't think it's the worst pick, but like, I don't know. Maybe it's just the small sample size thing. Maybe he does have the caliber to hang around there.
I'm totally with you, and I think he gets so much credit for his consistency at Augusta, which people also think of as a difficult track, but it's a much different track because guys consistently get to 12 to 14 under there. But I think he just has built up a lot of goodwill in terms of just how he plays that course.
Yeah,
man, this is hard. I mean, we can be unique if Bryson falls here. He goes.
Dang.
I would take Morikawa personally.
I would too. I have a lot of faith in Morikawa. When before Scotty Scheffler won his first major, you could compare Morikawa and him. They're in their trajectories, and I think most people would believe that Morikawa was had the higher ceiling.
Yeah.
So things change quickly, and we're not in 2023 anymore or 2022. But I think Morikawa is still a ton of potential. Let's just see him put together. And Hatton goes. I was hoping that we could push Hatton around because I think it was actually a pretty close pick for us there. We're gonna be able to get one of JT or Rose. Is there another name that we should consider here?
This is tough for me. Cantlay is the highest of those three for me.
He goes
10th. Do you want to? Man, this is tough. I think I trust Rose more than JT at a hard course, honestly.
Yeah, and I think Justin Rose is the guy where he needs a win now. I don't know how many more years he has left competing at this high of a level. Although I don't know if you've seen the guy's workout routine. It is intense. The guy he
gets after it.
He's maximizing his window right now and even extending his window. But Rosie is a guy that is just I don't think there's anyone who's that much more focused than him. He's probably one of the most focused guys on the tour right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's been around so long. He is one of the rare guys that has played at this course twice, not just in 2018, but in whatever year it was before
2004, was it?
Yeah, I think
he was there. Yeah, he was there.
He's one of the only guys that's played here twice. You see the kind of the landscape of this draft and how much these shift, to your point earlier, where, Hovland goes, I think, at 15 here. We got him at 20 in the previous draft. You see the guy like Reed who went later, Hatton who went later. So yeah, just kind of you do enough of these, you jump in enough of these, you're going to get some really interesting combinations just based on who is drafting in the room with you. But yeah, you guys can see this is a totally different kind of texture of a draft room than the one we did at the top of the stream.
Yeah, it's kind of falling differently in the second half. We'll come back around. Let's lean on your model. Who are some of the names that we saw that popped?
Kitayama's the top that's remaining. Yep. He's 12th just because he rates out kind of strong across the board and tends to play hard and long courses really well. And then after that, I don't know.
It's got to be Rye or English, right?
Yeah, it's Rye. Yep, it is Rye. It's Rye, Fitzpatrick. I guess Neiman is ahead of Rye. Did Neiman go?
Neiman's there.
But again, you're just kind of taking it with the grain because he plays on live and doesn't have the full measured rounds. But Neiman is 20th. Kitayama was 12th. Rye 24th. Fitzpatrick 21, Connors 25. So I guess for us it would be Neiman here. Neiman or Rye. I mean, if you like Rye better, I'm totally on board with him. I like his game, and he's going to hit more fairways than Neiman, but it's up to you in terms of ceiling.
I think I'm going to go Neiman this time, but it's just, I mean, let's see. I took English. I threw English in there. I like English so much. I just think he's so good and underrated. So I threw him in there. But I was trying to let the algorithm decide a little bit whether I was going to take Neiman or English. I know Neiman's ceiling is so high, but it's easy to hate the live guys.
In English, again, we've talked about him. I mean, if there's a guy that is not even being mentioned or not in like the top 40 of the betting board, who, again, I just have a vision of him being on the first page of the leaderboard, just hanging around at 3 over, late into Saturday, early on Sunday, and just keeps himself in it because he just grinds out pars and is smart and just plays strategic golf. I mean, I feel like Harris English is as good as anybody who was left on the board here. And I think to a lesser degree, kind of while I'm talking in that kind of methodology, I think Jason Day also fits that to a degree. Just kind of a wily veteran. It's not going to surprise anybody if he's just hanging around at +3 into the weekend, limiting his mistakes, has played this course before, and just knows how to limit mistakes and be strategic. I mean, I think Jason Day fits that Harris English kind of methodology.
Totally. A guy that plays better when the competition is tough. That's Jason Day in my mind for sure. And I think I've seen some stats around, I think it was his approach play is better in majors than it is non-majors, which is kind of a funny split. But I for a guy who's played majors for Jason Day's probably played in them 15 years, so there's something there. We wrap this one up. We go Morikawa, Rose, after we started with, of course, Xander, Cam Young, Morikawa, Rose, Kitayama, and then Harris English. We had a few names there we liked. Neiman goes undrafted, so I think we do mix him in next draft, whether it's in the 5th round or the 6th. I think he can go. Yeah. We also talked about potentially liking guys like Aaron Rye. I want to throw out a name for you, and I want to see where he lands in your model and see if you have any, gut feeling on a guy like Jackson Suber that Jeff T was shouting out as one of his favored scroll down picks this week.
Suber, what did he shoot on? What did he shoot on Sunday at the RBC?
At the Canadian Open?
Yeah.
I don't remember, but he finished T4 is what I was just looking up. I can find out real quick what he shot on the last round.
If you can tell me his
he shot round, a 70.
He shot a 70. Yeah, let me see where he is for me, and then also just with a grain of salt checking like how many rounds he
was in first. He was in first after he was in second for round 2 after round 2. He was in first after round 3. He had a 1-shot lead on Bud Colley, and then he just kind of shot a 70, and Bud Colley shot a 65.
Yeah, where's Suber? So Suber's all the way down at 88 for me. Okay. Just running through it quickly, he only does have 71 rounds. So again, doesn't have the full complement of things in here, but he's got 93rd strokes gained total, 86 tee to green, 104th on par 4, 74th bogey avoidance. Driving distance is helping him a little bit, 309 yards. Approach over the last 36 is really good, especially for a field this strong. He's in 23rd. And then fairways gained 99th, not good. Opportunities gained 82nd. Long courses 106th. So talent is there. I'm not sure this is the field or the course for him to make some noise. And just as I was scrolling down, I was as surprised as you probably will be when I say this, but Jacob Bridgman, 65th, a guy that has played well, a guy that has a bunch of good results this year, but just 65th in the model in this field, which a little bit surprising. Would have thought he would have been closer to like the top 30.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And Bridgman, like I said, he already won on tour this year. It's been a few months, but it was the Genesis, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
At Riviera. So yeah, Jackson Suber, I don't think he's the worst scroll down. I think it's tough though. It's a really, really, it's a deep kind of pick because of his lack of PGA event kind of experience. He's, Corn Ferry guy 2 years ago. He's played a few PGA Tour events over the years. He's been cut a lot at some of the tougher events. Best finish in a major, and he's only played in one. I think he got like 74th. I saw at the last U.S. Open he played at, which I think was last year. But he's the best finish of his career was last week. So he's definitely, the recent form is looking good.
Yeah, and I think just to your point again, that I would caution folks is scroll down, get your guys. But like you said, I mean, this is only 36. I mean, there's total justification where they could have us drafting 60 guys, you know, six player teams for 10 rounds. Or if they wanted to get really crazy and just change up the entire way that the golf drafts work, I mean, we could go 10-man lobbies with 6 picks each and get to 60 guys. But I just think it's so hard to justify when guys like Neiman and Connors, who have real pedigree, aren't getting drafted, to try to go down to like the McGreeveys and the Jackson Subers. That's just tough for me personally when you kind of think about the projections and the odds. I mean, you can soak up so much more win equity by hovering around that range of guys between like Rye, Connors, Neiman, who also aren't getting drafted.
Yeah, it's real strong talent not getting drafted. All right, guys, if you're hearing me say this, jump into the Underdog Open right now. I'm throwing it in the chat, and I'm hitting enter right now. There's usually a little bit of a delay between the stream and reality, but it says waiting on one more to start. So if you want to be that last person to jump in, boom, it just filled. I'm going to bring it up on the screen here, and we're going to see how lucky we can get building in a super team that can win this tournament. There's 11,280 entrants. I think it overlays potentially as much as like 8 to 10%.
Yeah,
but it's already 26% filled, and it does tend to fill pretty quickly on Wednesday and Wednesday night. So it's tomorrow. We'll see what it does. It's only 6 rounds, $10,000 up top. If you can finish in the top 10, make 1,000. So that's a pretty good return on a $10 entry, I'd say. Part of me wishes it was even bigger. I wish there was enough momentum right now for this to be a 22,000 person tournament, because then, you know, the up top's going to be 20K or 15K at least, and it's just a better payout structure. But it's not bad. I think, you know,
wow, the 5-hole
for the third straight draft.
We're gonna. I mean, I know we're not gonna go here all night, but we gotta get to one draft where we're not in the 5-hole. I mean, just to kind of mix it up just a little bit. One of the things that I think is interesting to think about, I'm not going to push anybody in this direction, but one of the things that's interesting to think about, especially when you get down to like pick 20 here, is it is not inconceivable at all for, you know, an English, a Rye, and a Neiman to all finish top 15. I would say don't do that if you're just drafting a handful, but if you're going to really press the gas here and have a full portfolio, those are some of the unique ways that you get leverage, and you don't have to get a lot right. You just have to say, look, these guys who aren't getting undrafted, I'm going to pair them together, and that's my uniqueness angle.
100%. I usually draft anywhere from, and who do you think you want to take here? And then I'll finish this thought.
Let's do Fitzpatrick again, and if we can pair him with Fleetwood this time, let's try that angle.
God, I hope so. I would like Fleetwood here. Again, the Cam Young Fleetwood does the turn. Okay.
Do we go? I guess we have not paired him with Oberg.
We could do Oberg this time. We could do Bryson.
Let's do Oberg.
I'm fine with it. Even though he has the best PR team and he's definitely overdrafted, but maybe he gets it done this time. Maybe he chokes on Sunday like he usually does. So what I would say is I usually draft anywhere from high single digit to like low 20s of these weekly underdog drafts. And when I'm getting up to like 20, 25, I'm doing a lot of the par 3, which is the $3 entry, which I don't think I saw them post that tournament yet. Maybe they'll do it tomorrow if it gets closer to filling, but they were doing it early in the season. And then there's the one that's called the putting green, which is a $5 entry. So I think the most I've done on an Underdog Open is like, I think I did like 8 or 10 one week early in the season when I was pretty hyped up. That's kind of the volume that I'm going for, but I would suggest if anyone is doing more than 25 of these, exactly what Blizzy described for that strategy, you scroll down and you pair 2 potentially undrafted players, guys who have ADPs in the 33 plus range, and you take them with like your last 2 picks. You don't have to scroll all the way down, but like even load up on 2 or 3 of those guys with your last couple picks could be a unique way to still have a lot of talent and really not lose out value from a talent perspective, but just get different for a tournament this size.
Choose your own adventure here. I'm not strong. Cantley is the highest in my model, but I know you were saying maybe getting a share of JT.
I'm cool with Cantlay. The joke is that it's Patrick can't play and like he never comes through.
He
But
always folds. That's for damn sure.
a few years ago, I thought Cantlay and Shoffley was a toss up. Not so sure about that anymore. But we finally got Tyrrell Hatton to come back around. I think we have to take him, right?
We have to, absolutely. And again, the kind of I want Fitzpatrick on my Hatton teams. I just in my head, if it's a week where Fitzpatrick is playing well, that tells me stylistically Hatton should be thriving as well. Doesn't always work out that way, but it's like the archetype of your build, to me at least, makes a lot of sense. Like if Fleetwood and Henley are playing well, I don't think I want like a Bryson on that team. You know, just the kind of texture of the team, where I think the guy in the 4-hole is doing it in the opposite way. I think he's doing exactly what I would be doing. Xander, a powerful guy who hits the ball a mile, with a Bryson, with a Koepka, and with a Hovland. He's built for that kind of environment succeeding this week. That's what I like. He's picked his kind of lane, and it's like it's just going to be guys who can flush the ball an absolute mile, and they're some of the most talented names, even if they're not the best in terms of like the model this week or whatever, but he's kind of sticking to his lane and what he thinks wins in this room.
I love it. Yeah, that makes total sense to me. I'm just taunting Jeff in the chat a little bit, and then let's jump into this pick. Wow, Neiman goes. Chris is listening. Neiman goes.
That was a sharp pick.
And another guy who what we suggested to do.
Another guy who hits it a mile. Interesting. This is a very interesting spot. I might just go right here in this spot.
Let's do it. Let's take Rye because we've wanted to take him for a couple drafts now, and we've thought about it each time. And then let's figure out where we can really find some value without sacrificing too much. There's so many good names down here.
Who's at the very top of the queue right now?
Yeah, it's Minwoo Lee.
No.
I know, not with this build. If we're saying Matt Fitzpatrick,
Smalley is the highest in the model, but I kind of like going back to English or McNeely personally.
You choose English or McNeely.
Let's go English.
Yeah, no, I like this. I am every year I've drafted on Underdog for PGA, I have been 50% or 100% higher than the field on Harris English, regardless of the tournament, whether it's the Albatross or the Scramble. He is criminally undervalued. Yep. He is always, his ADP is always like lower than it should be. I don't know, for whatever reason. Maybe he's kind of a more reserved guy, or just doesn't have like the draft appeal of a guy like Ludwig. But I mean, if you gave me a head-to-head English versus Ludwig, you're probably going to lean Oberg, but in reality, it's probably not that far off. Like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really not that different.
I love the texture of this team. I've liked how we have, I don't know, just something about, I like the rooms that we have put together across three. It would be nice to get one in where we're not in the 5-hole, but I really like what we did here in terms of we get a guy, to me, Fitzpatrick, who I'd be comfortable taking as high as 3 this week. And then he falls again. We finally get him paired up with Hatton. We get him with English, and then we tack on a Rye, who we've kind of wanted, and kind of gives us just that safety net of I fully expect Aaron Rye to make the cut because of how often he's going to be playing from the center of the fairway. Now, I don't know what his upside is. I don't know what his ceiling is. I don't know that he's going to win or contend at 2 majors in one summer. But I just like the steady golf that he plays when conditions are tough.
Could you imagine if Aaron Rye wins back-to-back majors? It would be.
I cannot.
It's not going to happen, but he could have a nice finish. You're right. He's going to be in the fairway, and he could work some magic from there. This is the most Englishmen I've drafted on a team in a long time, but I like the structure. We got the 3 Englishmen, and then we got Team USA a little bit there from our Ryder Cuppers, and some Oberg. So is Oberg, is he going to play in the President's Cup as an international player? Is that what he's doing?
I believe so. Interesting. Well, no. Okay, interesting. No. I don't think he can, right? Because he's on Team Europe for the Ryder Cup. Yeah, he can.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. But he's definitely on Team Europe.
Yeah, so like that, the
I guess
President's
that's
Cup
what I
team.
meant. No, yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I was just crossing wires there. For some reason I thought Sweden was not European, but then thinking back, like he's kind of a ringer for them. That's where he kind of got some of his hype, was his early appearances on the Ryder Cup.
That was the whole thing. Is everybody was? I think he was the first player in history to play on a Ryder Cup before he played in a major, and that got so much play and so much run,
Yeah.
in the media. But yeah, the President's Cup team is interesting because I feel like in a lot of ways it's like the Asia Canada team. It's like Asians and Canadians. Not that there's not other guys who sneak on that team, but like in my head, it's like Matsuyama's always on that team. You figure like Corey Connors is going to be on that team again. Nick Taylor, I believe, was on it last time.
Probably Siwoo Kim will be on it.
Siwoo Kim will be on it. It's like the best Asians and Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like I'm obviously like what Adam Scott and Jason Day have been on that team.
Yeah. I guess they don't get grouped into the Europeans, do they? They're out of the Ryder Cup in that way. That's always interesting, that angle. The Australians, they kind of, I don't know. I guess in my head, I think more of like along the lines of guys who are competing in majors, and then when it comes down to these head to heads, it's like you kind of expect to see there. But no, there's some interesting names we'll get. So I like this team. It's a nice thesis we have going. It's a fun team. We drafted our third Underdog Open. We got Jeff T in the one spot. He goes Scheffler, Goddard, and the white Nike hats. Like there's just something to that where it's like becoming iconic. Where it's just like, if you got a white Nike hat on, you're probably going to be winning on Sunday in the tournament. Patrick Reed, Justin Rose, nice. He takes Cam Smith. The problem with Cam Smith is it's really hard to play golf on the weekends when you own a $4 million fishing boat and you enjoy fishing on the weekends. And so it's really hard to work on the weekends when that's prime fishing time. So I don't know if Cam Smith, he's done okay so far this year. I'm banking pretty hard on Cam Smith, and I think he's on one, if not two, of my remaining three Albatross teams. So I'm kind of banking on Cam Smith this week to show up for me. And then Christopher Wright, I think, is a nice pick.
Yeah.
He's a guy who had some hype coming into the season and then has fulfilled it. Wasn't it the Truist that he won? Was that the tournament that I'm thinking of?
I don't think it was the Truist.
What was it? Oh, man, it's driving me nuts. I as soon as I said that, I was like, I don't think that's right. But what was it that right?
Was it the
It was the Truist. Yeah.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Quail Hollow. Nice.
I don't know. For some reason, I was like, was it one of the Texas ones? But yeah, that's right. Good call. Good call by you. Good memory.
I think I just like Quail Hollow, and that's before my life started getting really, really hectic early May. I obviously watched Aaron Rai went to the PGA, but the last couple Texas events, usually I go to the Charles Schwab. My brother lives in Fort Worth, and I think
nice.
Colonial Country Club is like, it's immaculate. Like it is such a nice event, and it's really fun to go there. So I try to usually go, but timing just didn't work out for me this year with the big move and everything, and just prepping for that. So I'll have to try to go next year, but it's on my to-do list to go back to Colonial. And then TPC Craig Ranch in McKinney is not too far either. It'd be tough to do back-to-back weekends being out of town, but that's an event I think it'd be fun to go to. But anyways, so we'll see what the next event I attend. I've got a list of ones. Of course, it'd be incredible to go to Augusta National or really any major, but
yeah,
the place is so hard to get into unless you have like a media pass. It's the odds are not in your favor.
No, certainly not in your favor at all. Yeah, it's tough being out here in Colorado because there's not any regular PGA Tour stops. When they did come out the end of the 2024 season for the FedEx Cup in Castle Pines, I did go to that.
Ooh, nice.
Just an unbelievable walk though, because it's in the mountains.
The altitude too, right?
I mean, it was tough. I mean, there was a good 3 days before my legs were back and like felt normal, but just, I mean, every hole it's like up, down, up. I mean, you're getting not only the steps, but just like the incline of up and down with all those steps. I think it was 29,000 steps I I took that day. I walked the course. I basically walked 27 holes. I walked like 9 holes, and then I went back to first tee box and then walked the full 18 with Scheffler. And
nice. That's the way to do it. That's the best way to do it. Is exactly what you said. You gotta walk a lot of holes and to watch a lot of golf. It's fun to sometimes sit on a hole, but no, I like following groups too. Especially what day were you there on?
I think I was there on a Saturday, I believe.
Okay, yeah, no, it's fun, yeah, because
and it was a no cut, obviously, because it was the final 50, I think, for the BMW Championship that year. But
right, it's just the top, it's top 50 at that point.
Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't like I guess in my head, if I went to a regular major or a regular PGA Tour stop, I would definitely want to go on a Friday because I don't want to be at risk of missing somebody who I care to watch.
Friday and Sunday are my 2 favorite days to go.
Yeah, exactly. But once it was a playoff event, I didn't really have to factor that in. So I just went on Saturday, which was nice. Do you want to try to get in one more, not from the 5-hole?
Let's do it. What are the odds that we've drafted everyone from the 5-hole? I'm joining from my phone right now. I'm hitting enter. I'm going to pause. I'm hitting enter. If you're hearing this now, you can join in. I'm going to type it into the chat. Join UD open now. I'm joining now. We kind of sprung it on you at the last second, but we're jumping in. We're waiting on 2 more. So if you do want to jump in here, if you're in the current room, you're in the right one. We're waiting on 1 more. We're going to draft 1 more Underdog Open. Let's see if we can get lucky and not be in the 5 spot. But knowing us, I think we will be in the 5 spot. If we get the 101, it would feel good.
There we go. Middle of the board.
Middle of the board's good. I mean, anytime you don't have skin in the game with Scotty Scheffler, it's like, do you really have do you have the best odds to win this 11,000 person tournament if you don't have a single Scotty Scheffler team? Like, damn. But I see some familiar names in this one. Of course, Chris is back.
Hey, Lou Dog.
We got Lou Dog in the 6. Shout out to Lou. He said he might try to jump in some tonight on Twitter.
Let's go.
We also have my man, channel member, Steampunk Mario, the only person to not get eliminated in 2025 in the Eliminator. So pretty damn impressive room we got here. Let's see what we can do from the 3 spot.
Yeah, so we've got 2 Fitzpatrick teams tonight. We've got the 1 Shoffley team. Wow, that is the kind of luck we needed to run into tonight.
I know. It's always Jeff. Hey, actually, Jeff, we have an Albatross team still alive. I'll show it to you after this. I'll show you. Me and you drafted one together. It's still alive. That's incredible. Jackson Super's projected more. Yeah, Underdog needs to work on their projections. Maybe they could use some of our help. Do we go Rom here?
I agree.
I think so too, right? It's like it's just John Rahm. It's pretty until he's not like who we know he is. I think it's still just Rahm.
Yeah.
Man, even if you like 2021, 2022, Rahm was like the guy,
Oh, by far. I mean, he was like pretty much the favorite in everything. He was going off ahead of Rory. He was obviously, that was pre-Scheffler's just like scorched earth mode. But yeah, Rahm was the guy in that time period.
Live Golf messed up so many guys' career trajectories. And there's some guys like Dustin Johnson who are already kind of on the back nine who like doesn't really care and just get that last payday. But I feel like it kind of, I don't know how I feel about it exactly. Do you prefer Henley, Bryson? We don't have a Bryson team yet. We don't have Henley either. I feel like both are good picks.
Let's just go Bryson. Let's go full ceiling. Like Rahm and Bryson just play at their full ceiling this week, and we just let the chips fall where they may.
I love it. Yeah, I can't argue. There's a small chance that Henley comes back around. He's pretty consistently drafted. Like he's a guy who is good and is not fully underrated. I can make an argument, and I've been saying this all offseason. We were drafting like the Albatross. In the Albatross, Oberg was going kind of in this range, like pick anywhere from pick 5 to pick like 9 kind of range.
Yeah.
I'd make the argument that Henley like should be going in that similar range. He's probably going to end up being better in a given year in a given tournament than Oberg, but it's just, differences about people's perceived ceiling. What do you want to do here? We haven't gotten any Burns yet. We could also do Clark or Cantlay. Got her up.
Let's go Clark on this build.
He gets his redemption from beating up the clubhouse last year at the U.S. Open and getting temporarily banned.
That was so
as it
bad.
was.
Such a bad look for that guy. But he's trending well right now. I like how he's playing. He won in Texas, and then last week had a really strong showing. Or not, I don't think it was this past week. Was it this past week or 2 weeks ago? I'm getting all my time frame mixed up. I think it was Memorial, right? Didn't he show himself well at Memorial after the win in Texas? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I thought he had a pretty good. He did a little presser. I think it was either earlier today or end of yesterday, and they were asking him about beating up the locker room at Oakmont last year, and he had a very good PR type response. But I think he is more mature than that. We see guys all the time, golfers get hot headed, and blow up and do things that are stupid. That's kind of part of the game. If you've ever played golf, that's.
Let's take Hovland on this team.
Yeah. We just took Cantlay. You can't do two Cantlays back to back. Got to go Hovland here. Who was it? I think it was. I know it was a Canadian, but last season there was or maybe 2 seasons ago there was a golfer, and I forget the tournament, but he's walking off a green and he throws his club into the ground and he hits a sprinkler head and it goes off and he has to stand. Was it Hadwin? It was Adam Hadwin.
Yes. I think
he had to stand on a sprinkler head. He stood on a sprinkler head, and they finally came over, and they had to have grounds guys repair it. But it was the most embarrassing thing. Where he's doing the pissy, upset at himself thing that we all do as golfers. He smashes his club into the ground to make a divot, and he pops the sprinkler head, and it just is instantly embarrassing. Just instant regret.
I can't remember if that was the same year that he got tackled by the security guard for congratulating his fellow countryman Nick Taylor when he won the Canadian Open.
Yeah, I think it was a little, it was around then anyways. We could do Kitayama, we could do Smalley, Spieth, Cam Smith. How are we feeling?
I like Kitayama more than Spieth, but should we go Neiman just to make sure we get him? We kind of already have leaned into Liv goes full ceiling mode. Let's just do it.
I like the call, especially because I wasn't used to seeing the selection this early. We're still in the 5th round. We are in the last 2 picks, but we've been drafting out of the 5 spot. I know it's only 2 picks later, but I was almost anticipating we had more time to get Neiman. I think at 34, we'd risk losing him. And I think the selections are going to be pretty similar once we get there anyways.
Yeah. And this is a build where I feel like these guys go well with each other. This last pick is interesting.
No one's drafting Akshay. Is there something wrong? He's still Akshay. He still won the Arnold Palmer this year.
I like him a lot. I don't necessarily have a strong opinion on him this week, but I like him just a lot in general.
Harmon's a guy I need to do well for my own bags, but I don't know that I'd want to draft him over the.
Who's at the very top? Oh, it's Cam Smith, who I do not like at all.
Smith or Smalley. Otherwise, we can pick anyone. This is a good list of guys to pick from.
I'm gonna leave this one
to
you.
you. No, I'll throw it to you. I throw it to you.
Last pick of the night. Let's go Akshay.
Custom model.
Let's go. Yeah. Let's just go Akshay. Let's just go vibes based.
Fuck yeah, he's got the vibes. He got the.
I don't even know if I don't even remember seeing him in the model, so that doesn't bode well. But, yeah, I can tell you he is not. He's down at 62. Ricky was interestingly the highest at 26, and I do like Ricky, but I don't know. Once you put the Akshay vibes in there, I'm like, this dude is as talented as anybody, and when he is really in form, this guy just plays effortless golf.
He won the Arnold Palmer. I've done a lot of these throughout this season where Akshay was a first, depending on the field, because it's not always this strong of a field. He was a 2nd or a 3rd round pick in a lot of these. He's going undrafted. We get leverage that he's not always being drafted. And the dude is good. He is really good. I don't know if it's the best course fit for him or what, but no, Batia should be getting drafted consistently. To take Nikolai Højgaard over Batia. I've seen Højgaard get drafted almost every time tonight. What can someone fill me in? Is it just because of his because he was a Ryder Cupper as well. The Nikolai Højgaard love in the fantasy community is almost
It's too high.
It's only second to Ludwig Oberg's. Like, it is so high. There were some drafts earlier this year where like Højgaard was going in the second round, like he was a top 7 pick, and I'm just like,
crazy.
what are we doing, guys? It's all projection. It's all potential. I've seen him play in Houston. I've seen him play in real life. I've watched him play in a bunch of events. He's good. He hasn't won anything. He hasn't shown much. Like, he's not. To me, it blows my mind that people are so like infatuated with Nikolai Højgaard. He's not even the best Højgaard half the time. Sometimes you want Rasmus.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, but I mean, you look again, and it's the Rise going undrafted, the English is going undrafted, Bobby Mack going undrafted, Shane Lowry. I would rather have all of those guys, I think, than Nikolai Højgaard for sure.
Yeah. Dang, Jeff T's out of the Albatross. I'm glad that I can carry the torch for you. I think our team looks pretty good. We're living a little. Let's see what Purple Yosh did. Steam, Punk, Mario. He goes Rory.
Second round Reed.
He pulls up Reed. He takes Hatton, which is savvy. He gets Cantlay, McNeely, takes Noren. This is a very solid team.
That's a nice fall on Cantlay. Although, I guess, I mean, it's so hard to say in these drafts because, again, we saw in our first draft where, you know, you can almost flip Cantlay and Reed, you know, and so it's like it feels unique because he went Reed at 11, and then I see like, well, he also got the falling Cantlay. So it's interesting because somebody potentially has this team where they pulled up Cantlay and then they got Reed later. And so, yeah, it's really hard to say how to get unique other than what we talked about, where it's like pairing a couple guys. Like, I think what we accomplished here, we've seen drafts tonight where Neiman didn't go selected. And then every draft that we did tonight, Batia didn't go selected. We have those two together, which is going to be exceedingly rare.
I love that. I love that combo. Love that shout out. And this is a fun team out of the 3 spot for sure. Really strong, top heavy, and then the back end is like, wait a second, like what year is this? What are the odds? Like, you know, some other years, Neiman has been a lot of people's top 10 favorite pick going into certain majors. So I like this. Let's look at Ludog's team in the 6th spot. Shout out, we got Xander at 6 is nice. Cam Young, of course, good. Goddard at 18 is 6. Spawn, why not? He won the thing last year. Wrightson is a good pick. And then Alex Fitzpatrick, who popped in the model, and he's got the white Nike hat, so you can't complain. Like that.
I'll say this
combo.
He's got the 2 New Yorkers, which you've heard that I'm in on this week, especially Goddard. He's got the Goddard Cam Young pairing. I love that Xander fell to him at 6 because somebody pulled up Fleetwood. And then Spawn, very high in the model. Fitzpatrick, very high in the model. And then to round it out, having Fitzpatrick and Christopher Wrighton on the same team, I think he has a very unique build and a very strong build to win something where you're not trying to finish, you know, in 44th place. He's got a lot of the guys that I like. He's got guys that are high in the model like Spawn and Goddard, and he's got Fitzpatrick, and then he's just got unique guys with Wrighton and Fitzpatrick paired together.
Yeah. I think there is something to getting a little unique. I don't know. I don't have stats around it, but gut feeling, when I've seen these results week in and week out, I only really look at like the top 20 or so teams. And I would say 50% of the time there's one or more teams in the top 20 that are split because they're duped. Like they're the exact same team. It's not every time. It's not like exceedingly common, but you could finish in 8th place and be splitting with someone like that has the exact same team as you. For whatever reason, the team that wins, and maybe that's part of it, is typically not getting split.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they have some mechanism for scoring that. Well, no, it would be exactly the same. If you had the same players, it would be the same. So it doesn't happen very often, but it does kind of happen sometimes in the top 10 and sometimes in the top 20. So there is a little bit of value just to say, hey, can I swap out a player in the last round that might score similarly enough, can make the cut, and maybe give me 1 or 2 points to differentiate. That takes me from being tied for 12th to, you know, being that 9th team or something like that. It's kind of interesting game theory around it. And then obviously, if you don't get your first pretty much 3 picks right, you have like no chance to win it. It just comes down to the opportunity cost. It's like the team that wins this thing, they're not going to be that different than the rest of us with like their first 3 picks. Like they're going to have pretty chalky first 3 picks to some extent. But you never know. I mean, sometimes a team that could have won a tournament was never drafted because people didn't do enough weird things. So that's kind of like where you make your case that, hey, my first 2 picks are chalky, but my middle 3 picks are going to be different, with the same kind of strategic angle that we took, saying let's take Neiman and Batia. It's just guys who were uncommonly paired together. Maybe you grab guys in the middle 3 rounds that are uncommonly paired together by scrolling around or taking like 2 guys a bit early. It's interesting. It's the game theory, I think, around these battle royales. It's a small enough amount of players drafted, but it's the amount of players that aren't drafted that really makes this like an unsolved game, I think, because the field is over 100 golfers. We're only taking 36. And I think what I see most weeks is it's like there's like 40 golfers who are consistently drafted. There's like 50 golfers that are drafted more than half the time. And there's like, once you get above like 70 golfers, like there's guys who are just like completely never drafted, or there's guys who are drafted like in the single digits. And so it's kind of interesting that I bet you if you did like 100 of these in a week, you would start to get really weird and just be scrolling down, like starting with like your 3rd or 4th pick.
Yeah, no, completely. And that's exactly what I was getting at early, where like take 3 guys who didn't get drafted in this one, like say like Rye, Fowler, and Corey Connors, or Rye, Fowler, and Lowry or something. Like, or like I'll use my favorite. Let's use Rye, English, and Bobby Mack. Let's just use those 3 guys. I mean, it's not, I don't even think that it's unlikely. I think it's a coin flip that those guys, those 3 of them, even paired together, like a Rye English Fowler or a Rye English Bobby Mack, could absolutely outscore some of the guys who went in like round 4. Like you said, round 3, those guys are getting drafted all the time. You probably should be drafting them. But if you pull up the draft board, like Rye, English, and Fowler, can you pull up the draft board just for a second?
Yeah, sorry, I got confused. I got distracted.
Good. But yeah, like Rye, English, and Fowler, you're going to tell me that they can't outscore like Hideki, Spawn, and Koepka?
Exactly.
I think it's like a coin flip. And then you see, like, I think Rick Rungood used to even do on, I don't know if he still does them every single week, but he used to do like optimal DraftKings lineup to win this week. And it'd be something that was like 47,800 because it was guys, to your point, that were uncommonly paired, and people were not going to leave that much salary on the table and pair certain guys together. And it's like, nobody had it, but this could have won. And that's the same thing that you're saying. There's going to be some weird combo or some combination of guys who aren't getting drafted who you could insert as your 4th, 5th, and 6th round pick who could easily ship the contest this week.
I'd go out on a limb and just gut feeling, no math behind it. The odds that the golfer who wins the US Open is in the first 4 rounds is probably 90% or above. But for those outcomes where he's not in the top 4 rounds, any team that happens to draft him has extreme leverage against the field. And so like sometimes you're just trying to catch that JJ Spawn from 2025.
No, that's well said. That's exactly right. Where if it is one of those years where it's a Spawn or where it's a Rye, I mean, a perfect example. If we pulled up all the draft boards from the PGA Championship last month, Aaron Rye, there's no way that he was 100% drafted. There's probably no way he was even 70% drafted, 65% drafted. And that's like making the point that we're trying to drive home here, which is like, don't be afraid to take these guys, because Harris English, we've seen it in major championships. Aaron Rye, major champion this season. Ricky Fowler, maybe not Ricky Fowler as of late, but even Ricky Fowler, I mean, the year that Wyndham Clark won the U.S. Open at LACC, he beat Ricky Fowler. Bobby Mack has had good results. And so, yeah, I mean, it's totally kind of a toss-up, and you cannot be afraid to draft those guys that are not getting drafted.
For sure. You see it even here. Aaron Rye goes undrafted. Harris English, he's one of those guys. who has multiple runners up in majors. I think was it last year at the PGA? I'd have to pull it up. And in fact, I do kind of want to pull it up. I love Harris English so much in these majors formats. But it's been long enough that I've already forgotten this stat. Okay, he was second at the Open last year and second at the PGA. So like third at the U.S. Open a few years ago. He's got a fourth
at the U.S. Open
a couple of years ago. Like, this is a guy who's knocking at the door. He's good enough to win. He's top 25 in the world. He's top 20 in data golf ranking. Like, and he's going undrafted in this format.
Exactly.
There is just. I mean, you could have 100% Harris English, and you might be better off than letting him go undrafted. So
yeah,
but just the opportunity cost. Like, what do? Do we sacrifice a Hovland or a Wyndham Clark to pull in one more guy like that? It's hard to know. It's hard to know until they get cut, and you regret drafting Bryson DeChambeau kind of thing, right?
Yes, exactly. But yeah, I mean, the odds between. I mean, if it was a head to head like Hovland and English this week, it wouldn't be a slam dunk for Hovland. And that just, again, goes to the point that you might even be able to get 3 of these undrafted guys. Because if we had taken English there instead of Hovland, we would be certainly the only team in the entire tournament with an English, Neiman, Batia pairing.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. I think it's that uncommon. I wanted to jump in. Let me see if I can find. Here they are. Here's my albatrosses. This is the one I did with Jeff T here back in February. Jeff, it's been 4 months since we drafted this team. My other ones are from early January, which is pretty crazy. But let's just take a quick look at this team. It's Jeff's last chance to win the albatrosses. It's on my shoulders. A team we drafted together. So, Blizzy, I want you to play bad cop. I'm going to play good cop because I draft these teams. I want you to play bad cop and tell me why this team can't advance and won't win my pot of, I think there's 5 of us total. So why would this team not win this week at the U.S. Open? Blizzy, I'm putting you on the spot. You got to roast this team or just tell me what's wrong with it.
Scroll down first so I can get the full context of the team. Well, I love Rye, and that's probably what got you to this point. But I would say, yeah, if I'm playing devil's advocate, the number one thing would be, go back about an hour ago in the stream and hear about Rory's struggles off the tee and how he usually gets away with them. But if there is a course where he's not going to get away with them, it would be this course with this type of rough where he's not going to be able to just hack out and still advance it to the green. If he's not hitting fairways this week, is going to have to make a lot of up and down par saves from 75 yards and out, which could definitely be a challenge. Hovland, just, kind of an up and down guy, can get hot with the best of them. And then when he doesn't get things rolling, he can kind of get in his own head and kind of be a little bit mentally fragile. We like the form.
I'll also tell you the percent drafted includes my team. So like Siwoo Kim, I'm the only person in my pod with Siwoo Kim is what this says. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. So like Hovland, I like him. I think he's one of the more talented guys in the world. But again, I worry about him if I'm playing devil's advocate about when the going gets tough this week. It's going to get tough for everybody. How does Hovland respond to that? Rose, he's been there, done that. He's not going to be too phased. Justin Thomas, another guy like Rory, who's just, man, when that driver gets going wayward, if he's hacking out of the rough all week, you can see that being a struggle. Gerard, really good. He's been really good, like around the greens and on the greens. Again, it just kind of comes down to what does it look like for him off the tee. Aaron Raya, I like when we look at the off the tee angle. Michael Brennan, one of the longest and straightest hitters. Marco Penge, he's in the field.
He withdrew today.
Oh my goodness, no.
I know. No. He withdrew. He got replaced by like fucking nobody, but somebody, but nobody. I'm kind of bummed about this because I thought he was a decent pick, but I'm not the only one with him, so it doesn't like completely sink me. At least someone else.
You've got the solo Brennan, you've got the solo. I think Siwoo, who again, if there's a guy that I want solo, I am happy to have a solo Siwoo Kim team in a pod because he's so steady. He's going to hit fairways. He never misses the cut, and the odds really respect him this week.
So you're saying there's a chance. It's not the worst team. It could be better, but It's the only 60% drafted player, and no one's 100, is Aaron Rye. And spoiler alert, all three of my remaining Albatross teams have Aaron Rye.
That's
I was
huge.
advancing 9 Albatross teams on Friday night. Saturday it went down to 6. Sunday it went down to 3, and they were all Rye teams remaining. So I don't have a single Scotty Scheffler team remaining, which really bums me out because he's kind of the best golfer in the world. But Rye really, I was cursing Aaron Rye because he was he was he was low enough drafted in Albatross that he had like no opportunity cost. So if you had him on your team, you had him with all of your other top heavy high draft
Yes,
capital picks, and that makes it really hard not to have him.
exactly. No,
So it's
that's
kind of a
so well
bummer.
said.
It's
Who?
kind
So
of a
you've got
bummer.
2 Rory teams, which is good. I like that.
Yeah, I've got 2 Rory, and then my other solo team that's high draft capital. It's John Rahm, and I think Collins on that one. But
That's good
these are my
leverage.
exposures. Yeah,
Oh,
not
that's good leverage. You could obviously use a nice week from Hovland, who I assume, yeah, the field
mhm.
only has him a shade under 17, or yeah, his total ownership is only 17%, right?
Yeah. I have 2 teams, so like obviously my exposures are going to be pretty extreme. But I would say any player, like you see, Rye is 55% owned.
Yeah.
Any player, Rory's like 50% owned. Because he obviously won the Masters. So any player that's below 25% owned is a good leverage piece, I would say. If you can get not only to win this week, but if you can get through to next week too. So I think Hovland's my strength. Brian Harman is one of my most drafted players. His ADP was like in the late 50s, so he is a zero opportunity cost pick.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, I guess he hasn't done enough yet. Like no one in my pod has it. My pods have him, and then like he's not very owned. Bridgman's pretty low owned, so I mean, we haven't seen much from Bridgman lately, but we did see him win the Genesis. So I've got a few pieces that I feel good that are my kind of leverage pieces that are highly owned, and then all my solo pieces are just going to be guys who made it through. And
Yep.
at the end of the day, it's like, man, I wish I had more of certain guys and less of others, because then my exposures would have worked out differently, and I maybe had more teams through. I was really hoping to get at least 5 teams through the semifinals, because then I'd have a 1 in 5 chance, and I'd be almost certain to get a team to the final. So right now, I'm kind of at a coin flip if any of these teams get through to the finals. And based on my concentration and my exposures, I think I'm getting 0 teams through, or potentially 2. Like if it's 1, that's kind of a weird outcome. So I don't know. I'm
Yeah, it
gonna
seems
be
like you could
sweating
get
this.
you with the right run out. It seems like you could get 2 teams through.
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of like what
We'll
you have
see.
going on here in terms of you have guys who have not necessarily performed well so far in the majors. Obviously, Rose and McIlroy have Rise the winner. But I mean, I'm looking at like a Hideki Share, Hovland, who hasn't played well, Cam Smith, who's only 22% owned by the field. I think you've got some uniqueness levers that you can pull here.
I hope so. But still, I look at my like top players, and there's a lot of names missing from those that we just drafted. So I'm a little scared that I also have extremely underexposed to about half of the top 4 rounds of players that we were just looking at.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a fair point. No Goddard, no Harris English, no. I don't know if
Nope.
I even saw Cantlay either.
Nope. Yeah, no Scheffler, no Henley, no Ben Griffin, no Burns. Yeah, I'm missing a ton of these names. Cam Young, even English. One of my 2 most drafted players in the Albatross were Harris English and Brian Harman, and none of my English teams made it through. So it's just kind of
Wow.
that. It's just that funnel of you had to have Aaron Rye, and other pieces like didn't get you there. So it's tough. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for Jeff T's sake. We'll see if we get one through. But yeah. Let's see, Bridgman in the late 40s feels
That's
good. Yeah,
awesome.
we drafted a bunch of Bridgman and a bunch of Sam Stevens. I don't know if I had any Sam Stevens teams make it through. Actually, Sam Stevens, we were drafting a ton of him in the scramble as well. I've got one big scramble team. It's not off to the best start at the Canadian, but I'm looking pretty good for this week for the U.S. Open. I've got Goddard in my scramble. I've got Cam Young.
That's good.
Thor Bjornsson's not in the field, but he's my only golfer not in the field. Somehow Griot and Tom Kim squeaked into the U.S. Open, and so I'm pretty lucky that they made it through because I did not think these guys were going to be showing up to this event.
Yeah, it's nice that you have Thorbs going to a place like the John Deere where he can just. I mean, that is a course that's perfectly suited for him to get his first win, and he is obviously super talented, but also long and just has a lot of good traits to his game. And so I kind of like him being able to run up, a -20 at a course like that.
I hope so. What's up, Mac Nova? How we doing, brother? Hovland was dragged along. How we doing, Lou? Good to see you. Thanks for drafting with us.
Lou Dog.
Yeah, had Wrighton and Smalley on his scramble team, so he's biased to them. Yeah, sometimes what I do is like Blizzy and I were drafting these teams, trying to merge our thoughts and our player takes. Sometimes I'll come in here and I'll just draft a team that would be completely bag defending, where it's like, okay, I know I've got Goddard up in my big scramble. I know in my albatrosses I've got a bunch of Harmon and Rye. So like, let me just draft these guys again, because if everything goes right, I just want to double down on my bets.
Yeah.
So I've been in that spot. Sometimes I want to like do the opposite. It's like, if Rye is terrible this week, I'm already overexposed in my albatross. Let me draft some non-Rye teams.
For sure. And I think that's the natural tendency is like, especially pod dependent, like who is in my pod that winning hurts me so bad and gives me like almost no path to advancing in something like the albatross. Obviously to a lesser degree that doesn't really apply to the scramble. Like in the albatross, sometimes it's so easy to like look through those pods and be like, all right, if these guys do well and I don't have them, but my pod opponents do, that blocks me from advancing, but maybe I can capitalize and like run up a really big score in the battle royale streets. And so sometimes, that kind of logic gets in our head, but I like it from your perspective of just saying like, hey, like, no, let's just bet on myself, double down, triple down, and just like go for broke this week with my guys.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just the sweat. It's what we're here for. So tell me, what are you sweating this week? What are some of your bigger takes other than the teams we just drafted? How are you feeling about this week? What are you sweating out?
I'm not really sweating out anything, although in my one and done pool, just because there's kind of an interesting dynamic that I introduced this year, there's like a rollover jackpot and nobody selected the winner at the PGA Championship, which isn't a surprise that nobody used Ryan one and done that week. But we've got a $575 pot just for picking the winner this week. You either have to be the highest guy in the standings to use somebody, or if you're like me and you're having a rough year where Brooks Koepka was just your third withdrawal of the season. I hit the Rory WD when he was like top 8, and then I hit the very next week the Colin WD at the Players. So I hit the Bay Hill Players Championship double withdrawal, which were two of the biggest money weeks in the season. Brooks Koepka just gave me the WD yesterday or this past weekend. And so I can't say, just for the people who might be scoping out who I'm going to use, but I'm way, way down the board. And so I'm going totally off the board this week and trying to just potentially scoop the solo $575 for nailing a solo winner. So not a guy that I would probably be deploying in a big spot like this, but just thinking through the leverage angle of I'm not going to win the season long one and done. I might as well try to capitalize on the major championship jackpot. I'm going way off the board. And he is on, I think, a couple of our teams, at least one of our teams. Not sure if we ended up pulling the trigger on 2, but I can't divulge, but we need some things to go our way because it's been a tough season.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. Well, I'll be pulling for you, and I'll be pulling for you guys in the chat as well. Shout out to Lou, Jeff, Purple Yosh, Mac, Nova, of course, Hartman. We had Emo Cowboy stopping by earlier. Thanks so much for being here and chilling with us tonight as we drafted some Underdog Opens. We talked some ball. And Blizzy, thanks so much for joining me tonight, man. It was a blast and always good to talk some ball with you. Appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, no, appreciate you having me. Let's do it again. If we can pull this again for the Open Championship at Royal Birkdale, I'd be thrilled with that. I'd be all in. But yeah, let's collab down the road here, and good luck this week. And appreciate you having me.
For sure, man. We're looking forward to more. We've got a big summer ahead. It's only June 16th. Plenty more golf to go, plenty more fantasy football drafts. So make sure you guys are subscribed here. Hit the like on your way out. If you're a real one, leave a comment. Let me know who you're choosing in your one and dones this week, or who you think is going to win the U.S. Open. Is Scotty Scheffler going to finish his career Grand Slam? I don't know. The odds are somewhat in his favor, somewhat not. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you're subscribed to Blizzy's channel, Ballin With Blizzy. Links in description. I'm feeling good. I'm working on my setup. I've moved to my new house. I'm getting the room painted later this week, potentially. We'll see how long that takes. I'm going to be hanging some things up soon, and but I'll be back in the streets. I think I'm going to jump into some NFL best ball drafts, probably like this Thursday, I'm thinking. We'll see kind of how the schedule goes. But Blizzy got a new video out with his betting odds for So You Think You Can Tout. Blizzy, do you have any other things to promote? Any other content lined up coming out soon?
Only thing I want to say, and I've been saying it to pretty much every video that I've posted lately, but go to my channel, subscribe, leave a comment on either this video, because we're co-streaming, it's posted on my channel as well, or any video that I'm doing. You can do it on my most recent betting board video. But we're going to be doing a giveaway. I have a project I'm working on. I'm going to be making a special announcement on July 15th. All you got to do to be entered into that giveaway, cash giveaway, up to $2,000, up to $1,000 for me, up to $1,000 from my betting board co-host Rick Aduzel. And so still about a month away. It's June 16th. That's running until July 15th, and then I'll do a giveaway that night on July 15th. But yeah, all you got to do is basically leave a comment either on this video or any video between now and July 15th, and you'll be auto entered to win that cash giveaway. So that's all I got to promote here.
Hell yeah. We'll be looking forward to that and much more content from Blizzy. Thanks again for joining me. Thanks for being in the chat, everyone. We'll see you guys in another draft real soon. Peace out.